God is dead. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we, the murderer of all murderers, comfort ourselves? What was holiest and most powerful of all that the world has yet owned has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we not ourselves become gods simply to seem worthy of it?
Good evening. Thank you very much for watching. Sorry for the delay. This is part two, and I believe it's an apt introduction for the topic we have at hand. If we look at the beginning, certain phrases, certain words have been used as a catch-all phrase, so to speak. It's been taken advantage of simply because it stands alone. A certain part of it can be removed, altered, or whatnot. It can distort the message most often than not. And if we look at that well-worn word or a collection of words, God is dead. It's been used so many times by so many people in so many contexts that I can think of. Most often than not, it's been used by people who like to represent themselves as unbelievers of religion or a form of worship or whatnot. However, it's been taken completely out of context based on not that I know what Nietzsche really had in mind, but if you dig into most of his work, you will see that his standing message is mostly a critique. It's mostly posing questions about what the church has become outside of the representation of God Himself. They have misused and abused their power that has been provided to them by the people, as also with what we have seen so far in politics. Most positions of power, people who hold, let's say, positions of power, do forget where the power lies, where the power really comes from. And it's not even so long ago that we've I think, misunderstood the assignment. I don't want to say it that way, but I think we forgot like where the power really comes from or where it stems from. It's the faith of the people to a certain standard, to a certain belief, to a certain representation of their collective power, just like governments, politicians, and blah blah blah. And we have been mostly focused on the messenger. It's become a popularity contest instead of a way for us to put the most apt or the most qualified people in these certain positions. And of course, it would be abused, it would be misused. So here we are, we're talking about it for the nth time simply because semantics and manipulation really go hand in hand. It's easy to be blinded by certain use of words, powerful emotional words stringed together. And we don't take the whole process of a discussion, a conversation, or let's say a debate. I don't think it should be a debate. It should be a lucid conversation between people about a particular topic that is very pressing. Let's say being a public servant, it should be, of course, gauged properly. How are you to be measured in your competence? a lot of people can exude, of course, certain qualities that might represent someone who is characterized to be qualified. However, when it comes to practice, they are not. How much do we really know about this person? So it comes into play how we apply certain first-hand experiences, or in a way peer reviews of certain people. We should be able, as the people voting, we should be in some way be able to interview, at least in a way, get to talk to these individuals without bias, without our preconceived notions, and without prejudgment, like he's a son of this, he's the daughter of this, she used to be this, she used to be that. It should be a matter of qualification. It should be a matter of what have you done, what have you achieved, what have you to offer that we need. So we need to at least be able to gauge that comprehensively and properly. I'll touch on a few topics. I'll touch on a few subjects that I believe has been taken advantage of. Just like a well choreographed dance by a choreographer, or a well written script for a wonderful actor, or certain let's say stand-up comedians knowing when to release the right punchline at the right time to create or get the maximum effect. And emotive syntax has been, especially in our, it's not limited to, but it has been greatly taken advantage of, especially here in the Philippines. Negative campaigning, negative publicity, etc. It doesn't limit to the characters in question. It doesn't limit to politicians or certain celebrities or whatnot. But as long as you're in the public eye, that will be, of course, taken advantage of. Emotive syntax, certain words, certain keywords, certain approaches can be used and taken advantage of course. And how can we release ourselves from the bounds of these biases? I think if we are able to process or at least understand rhetorics, like how powerful is the use of language, especially in separating people between races, colors, creeds, religion, etc. Wonderful example would be the Crusades, the witch hunts during the Spanish Inquisition, and most recently World War II, and even during the most recent elections, we've been played with. Everyone has been played with, especially with an emotionally charged topic. And it shouldn't be that way, since it relates to generations upon generations being affected by the decisions being made today. So we should not be too emotional about the decision making that affects a lot of people, especially our children. Whenever we elect someone, it shouldn't be emotional. It should be a little more logical. Of course, we can't remove emotion from it, but it has to be processed properly. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we're creating a whole new rhetoric. We're creating a separate entity altogether, like the Jewish community during World War II. Hitler was able to rouse people with just words, and with that, he was able to fabricate evidences that they were spreading the plague. They were the worst type of people during that time, and we have to understand that. And it's not even too far in history that we see examples of that, especially in our country. It's still prevalent today. The misconceptions of someone being from the provinces is not even apt to take any other work. And when we look at our exports of most of our OFWs who are giving back to the country and to the economy that keeps us alive and surviving as a country, these are all people from the provinces, not from the center. And we shouldn't be looking at ourselves differently just because of geographical location. It shouldn't be that way. We're all from the same country. We're all swearing to the same flag. We have to start uniting. I don't see any other word for it. So we should be played with, especially with our differences. Of course, we will have vast differences. We're made up of 7,000 islands, 7,000 plus islands. Of course, there will be differences. Even within a family unit, there are differences. And we have to be able to differentiate between a persuasive argument written or delivered properly to hit your emotional notes. Why is he doing that? Why is she doing that? Why are they choosing, instead of laying the facts, laying the foundation of their argument or their conversation, laying the whole conversation with facts instead of emotionally charged words? Why the need to tug on your emotions? Why the need to cloud your judgment with emotions? So I think we need to be able to do that. And we have to also understand that no one is free from bias. No one is free from the clutches of bias that we rely on the daily. I mean, we are always basing our choices on those biases, from what we eat, when we go out, who we associate with, and why we want something in particular. It doesn't limit to like the color of your shirt for that particular day. It's not limited to your mood. It's limited to your biases if you want to appear presentable. So why presentable? Prestige. Why the need for that? Why the need to misrepresent yourself, or let's say hide who you really are, wear a mask and all that? So what are we anchoring to that we have gotten used to, taken, let's say, from the most recent memory or experience, even if it's not the best or solid foundation for a decision to be made on? Also, are we just following the most popular or predominant thought of the time? Are we simply associating a positive attribution to an option, let's say a person or an object, a decision that we are about to make? Are we simply focusing too much on the positives of that? Are we basing our decision between the pros and the cons of that particular object, person, whatever we're trying to decide on? And are we only looking for the information to support our preconceived decision or preconceived notion? Are we willfully ignoring other facts or evidences that we have come across along the way that says otherwise to what we have already decided on? Are we willing to accept that? Are we willing to accept the possibility that we are making a mistake? Language can also be used to conceal the truth, alter the reality by evading the truth. Like I mentioned in the past, it's not hard to clothe the truth, the nakedness of truth, in lies. It's very easy. It's too prevalent, especially these days. It's a common practice to clothe truth with lies, with colorful words, altering the truth. And as wonderfully said by Nietzsche, that's why I love the whole context of that phrase, God is dead. That can stand alone. However, if you read the whole text, God remains dead and we have killed him. So we have to dig. We have to find the full information. We can't rely on face value alone. It has to be scratched, it has to be found, it has to be dug. It doesn't take too hard now. It's not too much of an effort to find out information, but you just have to be very careful of where you're getting information, how you are filtering the information that you are receiving, and what are you willing to accept with what you find. So I don't want to take too much more of your time. I just wanted to talk about that for a short while, and hopefully this will be a regular occurrence. I can make more videos. It just takes a while for me to edit because I'm still learning. I'm still trying to understand the whole process of this pre-recorded format. So I'll just leave you with, in avoiding the negative information, or in avoiding to see the facts, sometimes we fail to see our progress and failure, and we're overindulging in our own sense of importance. We overindulge in our overblown self-image that we have created. Sometimes when we try to have like confidence, where we're trying to build ourselves, sometimes we have to lie to ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why I keep telling people you have to be honest, even to yourself. You have to expand your understanding, your limits, your knowledge, your experiences, and what you're willing to accept, especially hard pills to swallow, like the truth. You're not perfect. We're not perfect. We're an ever evolving species. And I hope you have a wonderful and safe rest of your evening. Thank you very much for watching. Life is about making choices. Have a wonderful day. Good evening.
Everything that follows is the result of what you see here. You must ask the right questions.
Tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. We don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Never say anything, just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. Got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
And here